I'm sure you've seen H-1B is supposedly for rare, specialized, unique individuals who the US desperately needs. That's just not true. Other visa categories have these kind of protections built into it, but not the H-1B. So that makes me really question the intent when the White House is issuing this statement, because I think it actually harms most Americans. Let me break it down for you, right? So the big tech companies supposedly is behind this and they are in agreement. But you know why? It's because they benefit from it. Let me explain. H-1B for as long as I can remember, the past 10 plus years have always had a lottery system. The US desperately needed a lot of tech workers to come into the country to fuel our growth. And of course, if you lived here, if you've seen the world at all, you've seen how the US has advanced in their technological endeavors with all the big companies, okay? So granted, H-1B helped a lot of that. Why suddenly it's not needed anymore? Because of AI, right? AI has completely reduced the crazy need for coders, for basic IT, and for entry-level positions. And based on everything that we've seen in the past few years, a lot of tech companies have laid off a lot of people. If you look at the facts and the data, it definitely protects the big companies. And that's why I don't see the big companies coming out and really rebuking the administration for this H-1B policy, because that benefits them so much given what's going on, right? It protects other people from doing the H-1B to compete against them. They, again, don't have to pay the $100,000 for all the people who've already gotten it. And here is the last thing. It is a strict $100,000 mark. It benefits their industry. It benefits the fact that they have previous H-1B applicants. It benefits the fact that AI, suddenly they don't need it anymore. So this policy comes out. So again, is this policy to score political points? Or is it to really punish or to protect the big companies? Or is it somehow to harm mid-sized to small companies? I don't know. But from the way I see it, the stated intent of this policy and the actual unintended consequence, there's a mismatch. And so I'm calling it out, right? I'm an immigration lawyer specialist. I do H-1Bs all the time, and I just don't see things adding up. If the administration really wanted to do what they stated, they could do a lot of different other things. They can spread it out and say, oh, if you already had so many H-1B applicants, and if you previously fired employees, then you cannot do H-1B, but everybody else can. But you fired a bunch of U.S. employees, so you cannot do H-1B anymore. Boo, you can separate out by industry, right? So, different Arizona, Iowa, different areas that actually really need H-1B applicants because there's not enough college graduates who can really do great work there. If 10% of your workforce is H-1B, then you have to pay this $100,000 fine. But why punish the little mom and pop shop that only has 5 employees and they need this one H-1B applicant? Here's the thing. If you make companies not hire H-1B, you are not going to directly increase the number of U.S. workers you hired. When you want somebody on an H-1B visa, you first have to go through the lottery program in February or March. That means that person has already been hired by your company. You want to hire them. They went through all the interview. By February, you like them enough more than everybody else, and you're willing to submit a lottery, an application for them, and pay thousands and thousands of dollars just so USCIS could approve your case. Other people you can hire, you don't have to pay the $1,000. But this person you like so much, they're so important, you have to pay $1,000. And guess what? Even after the approval, they don't get to start working for you until October. So you have to wait an additional 6 months or longer. We have done thousands of H-1B applications at our firm. The way to prove somebody deserves an H-1B, you prove that the client has a college degree or master's degree that can fill that position and that it's specialized. It cannot be too general as long as their education meets this particular job. So you can imagine there's a company that might need a data scientist in the future. They never had it in the past. They don't have it currently, but the client, the beneficiary is a student who studied data science and they need it in the future so they can petition. Nowhere does the application talk about the US's need and how they cannot find another U.S. worker right? That's not part of the application. We already go way above and beyond in our H-1B applications, that we argue all 4 points, that the company needs it, that the client fulfills it, that the job duties are extraordinarily difficult for this job, and that's why they need a college education, and why at the industry level, everybody else needs it as well. The employers that are willing to do the H-1B applications is because the candidate is so good that they're willing to wait for them, to do it for them, and if it's not for them, the job just would not get done. The H-1B process itself, so convoluted, so expensive, so long, that no normal employer would choose to voluntarily go down this path if an easier option was available. And again, the memo, the White House proclamation is saying these companies use H-1B to drop down the wages for other workers. Again, there's so many easier ways to solve that problem, right? Reduce the number, instead of 50%, make it 10%, make it 5%, make, particular positions that, are more susceptible to fraud, such as the IT jobs, instead of wage level 1, make it so that it's mandatory wage level 4. There's so many ways that you can solve that particular problem, but the 100,000 price tag, it looks amazing on all the news channels. You scored a lot of political points. But is it going to do what you stated? I don't think so.